folks. Charmed to see you. Welcome. It is Thursday night. Hot damn. It's Thursday night, and it is time for the stream. The big stream. Did I mute my phone, or am I going to be another fucking, just another raisin goofball? There we go. We're fine. I had already muted my phone. I'm a professional. I'm so much of a professional. I don't even recall the professional things I do. When you're a professional, here, this is how it goes. When you're a professional, you do so many professional things in a day. They just become like old hat. You don't even think about them as being professional anymore. You just you roll into it. But then, you're like, sometimes you're like, oh, did I do this thing? And the answer by default is yes, but you just want the confirmation because you don't remember, because being a professional has become such a second nature to you that you don't remember the professional things you do. So you put yourself in the shoes of someone who is a rank amateur. Not just an amateur, a rank amateur. And you're like, did I turn off my phone? Which is something that a rank amateur would ask themselves. So you just have to be careful. You're just like, well, okay, I'm going to put myself temporarily into the shoes of a rank amateur. Not unlike, these FBI serial killer profilers, right? Where their thing is to get into the head of the serial killer they're hunting down, right? So they try to inhabit their thoughts but you don't want to go too deep, right? You don't want the serial killer personality to overcome you. You want to be able to keep that distance so that it doesn't become a part of you, right? It's the same thing when you're a professional with rank amateurs. So what I did ultimately is I went into the shoes of a rank amateur, and as a rank amateur, I asked myself, did I turn off my phone? And of course, I had already turned off my phone because I'm a professional. There we go. That made a lot of sense to me, at the very least. At least for me, everything I spoke of here was very clear. Hope you've had a good past couple of days. Chat, friends, well-wishers, everyone who's hanging out. I don't think anything particularly special occurred in my environment. I had a really big day today. I had a very, very big day. I'm going to have some mentally exhausting days to come with work-related things, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I'm more like stating a fact more than anything else. But you see, then what happens after a day like today is then I sit at the microphone. I sit myself down, rub my hands together. And I'm like, now we're just going to recalibrate. We're going to refresh our brains. That's it. That's where we're at. The content will not suffer because I'm being because I have a big week at work or whatnot, a big few days. That will not happen because I am not a rank amateur. I had a poke bowl for dinner tonight. I love me the poke bowls. There's this one place in town that we did. That's our go-to. My son and I. That's our go-to. Typically, we get the because they really go overboard on the fish in these in the poke bowls that they make. Because they're a lot of places make poke bowls now. The poke bowls are a thing. So what I like to do is what I like to order from this place. That's what I like to do because they really, really go heavy on the fish. You get it's practically like a half a pound of fish every time. It's like, oh, this is so good. I get the tuna poke bowl with the nice red tuna, of course. My son, he gets the combo. He gets the one that's half tuna, half salmon. Because he's not paying. Because it's his old man who's footing the bill, so he doesn't give a shit. So, but yeah, nice and delicious, and it's a good one. There's a place. See, here's what I'd like. I have two. There's two places that I really like the poke bowls here in town. Oishi is the one that has the tons of protein. That's the one. Like, that's usually our go-to. But there's another one called Bol et Poke. Right? That's another one around here. And I like that one enough, but specifically because of the vegetables and I guess the rest of the stuff that they put into their poke bowl, which is really good. And I think that's the Oishi bowls. My favorite place. They're not on that level. They're not as great. So there's if I could have like an Oishi bowl, the meat, the fish, on a Bole Poke bowl, I would be head over heels. That would be the perfect poke bowl. But you can't get everything you want, can you? Life is hard that way. Yeah. I think that's I think that's the most exciting thing. Like, what did you have for dinner tonight? That's pretty much it. It's been particularly normal and fine. It's been cold around here. Okay. My car battery, I had to have it replaced. Now, if you remember WarrenHayes lore properly, like, I do leases. I lease my cars. I've been leasing my cars forever. Why? Well, because I don't want to own a car. I think owning a car, I don't want to say stupid. I mean, I'd say that if I were off air. I think that leasing a car is a better approach to having a car. I don't want to say car ownership, but having a car, because then you can turn the lease in and then change it for a newer car. See, I don't know jack about cars. I have no time to fiddle around with an automotive vehicle that doesn't work, that might crap out on me or whatnot. I don't mind. I like the convenience. I like having an extended warranty that just comes naturally, that I'm not necessarily paying for. When I say extended, I mean a longer warranty. That's what I meant, as opposed to an extended warranty. Like, that's what I like about leasing a car, right? So this car here, I leased it, pretty much out of the pandemic in 2023. By the end of 2023, like in the fall, I had to change the battery, right? I never owned a Maserati. I had to change the battery for some reason. Okay, like at some point, like I'll always remember, I went to pick up my son, my youngest, at the movies, and Juno was in the back, and I start up the car and it doesn't go, it doesn't start. So I get boosted. I'm able to drive home, but the battery is shot from that point on. I have to get boosted a couple of more times after. So eventually bring it back to the dealership, and they change the battery, and it doesn't cost me anything, right? So I had an appointment Wednesday morning, this Wednesday, to get my oil change, and I start up my car, and earlier in the morning, before the appointment, and it doesn't start. I'm like, motherfucker. So I had to call roadside assistance again. The guy comes over, boosts me. I go to my appointment, and they sign me in and whatnot for the oil change. And then I say, yeah, by the way, my battery's dead again. And I don't understand this. This is a brand new car. And this is the second battery that's been put in it, right? I had an original battery that was taken out and we put in the next one, right? Now, here's the thing, and to clear things up here, okay? To clear things up, I'm leasing a fucking Toyota Corolla, okay? I'm not like, it's not some, it's not a power, it's not this incredible sports car, it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's especially not something that can handle a Canadian winter, right? And I've had Toyota Corollas before, so it's not my first rodeo with them. And so I tell this to the person who is at the counter, right, the service desk, and basically they start telling me, it's like, well, sir, cars today aren't the cars we used to have, when you turn off your car and the battery would just stop being used. Now with all the electronics and computer devices on it, now car batteries are always active because there's always processes running in them. And she's explaining this to me like I'm 50. Okay, fair enough, I am 50, but let's say 50 without a fucking clue how technology works, right? And like, yes, I understand. I understand that there's background processes working, right? And then she says, well, so sometimes, let's say your battery processes start working and they drain, let's say 25% of your battery. And then there's a cold snap that hits, and which was the case. It's been very fucking cold recently here. So there's a cold snap that hits, and that drains your battery, let's say under 50% of its capacity. Well, you try to start it up, and at under 50%, it's not going to start. And I'm like, wait a second, hang on there. The cold snap I can appreciate. I understand how that works. But there's no way that my car is running background processes that are draining 25% of a fucking quarter of my battery. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know, chat, if there is anyone out there who understands cars better than I do, please feel free to chime in and tell me whether I'm wrong or not. But I feel I feel pretty confident here in saying, you know what, lady, I didn't tell her this, but I'm pretty sure that that the background processes on my car are not draining a quarter of my battery. I'm convinced. That didn't make any sense to me. Now, before I could start arguing more with her, because, God bless, I like to do that. She basically said, look, if you don't mind, it'll take maybe an extra half hour, but we can check the battery and see if there's anything wrong with it, and then we can replace it, no charge. All right, fine. All right, okay, that's great, Now, here's the thing. And we must always keep this in mind. My car is 3 fucking years old, okay? My car is 3 years old. It's still a brand new car. I have 15,000 kilometers on it. That is not a lot. How many? What is 15,000 kilometers on it? What is 15K kilometers in? There we go. 15,000, that's like 9,300 miles, okay? That's not a lot. I don't do very long distances. I need to get to point A to point B. That's essentially it, right? I don't have to do all that much. So basically what she just told me, right? And chat, again, correct me if I'm failing in this, if my logic fails me here. She's basically telling me, hey, you know what? This car model that you have with this battery, it stinks. And and that's just how it goes. That the batteries can't handle all of the electronic processes. I'm like, so what this did to me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let go of this. I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna keep pushing. But when it's going to be time to go sit down once again with my salesperson at that, at the same dealership, which I really like. I like, this is my fourth lease with them. When I sit down with them, I'm going to tell them straight up, look, I was told by your very knowledgeable staff that I need to expect that my battery is going to crap out on me because of all the electronic doodads in it, right? So you're going to give me a lower rate, because if my car is going to keep crapping the battery out like that, I don't know what to tell you. I want a lower rate. Now I know that's not what it is, but this is I know it can't be that. I know it can't be, the battery or the process is draining the battery like that. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. But that's what they told me. So I'm gonna sit down and go, no, well, I'm just gonna pay less for this car because apparently the battery I'm going to use is going to drain it all out completely. It's so weird. Like, I still don't understand what the thing was. I don't understand what she was. I think the person at the counter was what they were trying to tell me. I think they thought what they were telling me was just an easy way out excuse, right? But it's like, no, you're telling me your batteries are no good. You're telling me that that regardless, when my car's not moving, it's going to drain my battery, and that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Anyway, so this is my third fucking battery in a 2023 Toyota Corolla. 2022, I should say. No, wait, it is a 2023. No, it's a 2023. Third fucking battery. It's preposterous. It doesn't make any sense. So, I guess I need to expect that it's going to happen again within the next 2 years or so, because I replaced the battery in 2023, the year I got it, replaced the first battery in the year I got it. And then it held out to now. So maybe just about a little over 2 years or something. Anyway, to be continued. We will continue the story in 2028 when it is time for me to go back and renegotiate my lease. So that's where we're at. Sounds like a bad bat. How you doing, Silver Apocalypse? Welcome to the chat, by the way. Also happens to be a member of the Mr. WarrenHayes Show channel. Sounds like a bad battery that just won't hold the charge. This would be the second one. They would have given me 2 bad batteries back to back. That doesn't make, again, it just does not make sense. There's something else going on. Or maybe there is something. Maybe there is a process that's malfunctioning and over draining my battery for some reason. Miggy, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. You're assuming your battery is running at 100%. If it's over 2 years old, it's not. My first yeah, but batteries over 2 years old don't instantly start dropping to 70% basic. You know what I mean? My first battery that I had to get changed was months old. It doesn't make sense that a 2-year-old battery in a 3-year-old car is dropping, and not because you're overusing it, not because you have the headlights on all night. It makes no sense. It just makes no sense. Yes, this is the third fucking battery. It doesn't make sense. Again, I understand, like I said earlier, I understand how cold snaps work. That's fine. I understand the impact that they have on a battery. But these are fucking new parts. Like, it's all new. It's a brand new fucking car. And these are not cars that are dainty and can't stand the Canadian winter. They're Toyota Corollas. And I have had, I think this is my fourth, because this is my fourth Toyota Corolla, because one lease I had a Toyota Matrix, which was essentially a hatchback Corolla. That's essentially what the Matrix was, the Toyota Matrix. And I have never had any issues with any other Corolla ever. This car has been, it's been special. It's been a nice special car, and I have never had any issues with any of the other cars ever. I don't have a Maserati. I never owned a Maserati. DGNC, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat anyway. Hey, Zach McGibbon, nice to see you. Zach Gibby. Sounded like I was scatting there almost for a second. How you doing? Nice to see you. No, I never had one. I never leased it either. Warren Hayes is a Corolla driver. I would have thought Volkswagen. Listen, here's the thing. I don't identify myself with the car I drive. I don't care. I don't care. What I look for is low price, reliability. I don't give a shit what I'm driving. Like I like the brand, what it's supposed to look like. I mean, there are certain limits, okay? When I say I don't give a shit, you know, there's things that I wouldn't drive, but they're also out of my price range regardless. Because I don't use a car all that much. I just need it for, you know, very personal things, sometimes some work stuff, a getaway once in a while over a weekend, you know, stuff like that. But I don't drive my car. I just need a car that won't fail me when I drop it, when I pop in and turn it over. That's all. I just need a car that works. I need a Scion IQ. No, that's fine. We're going to have to get new brakes for our Mini Cooper. You have to press the brake down to start a Mini Cooper. It's getting to the point where the car won't start due to bad brakes. Oh, that kind of sucks. Yeah. And also, brakes are important to stop a car as well. First car was a Subaru, and I didn't realize I was signing up into the brand loyalty with it too. LOL. Yeah, you're satisfied. I've heard a lot of people who own Subarus. They won't. That's all. They'll never jump off the Subaru train, even though it's not a train, it's a car. But I've heard that they're very good cars, and everyone is very happy. I guarantee it's the relay coil damper. Pick one up at Canadian Tire for $10. The relay coil. Look, I can pick it up. I can go buy it. I don't know what the fuck to do with it then after. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. A relay coil damper. Relay coil damper. It's a box. It's a box. Is that what it is? Oh no, wait. Okay. It's like little. It's coils. Yeah, it's like little Tesla coils. Is that what it is? It's something. Is it this? It's something like this, right? Something like that. That's a recoil. Relay coil damper. Relay coil damper. I'm saying release. Or is it this thing? I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I am not doing. No. I know not to work on a. I know not to work on a leased car. Like, I know. I don't screw around with anything related to the car myself. Trust me. You don't. I would never offer myself up to do that. Let's not be preposterous here. I guess this is what it is, right? It's one of these things. I wouldn't even know what to do with it. That's what I love about cars, man. I get older and they stay the same age. Are you trying to pull a Mike Bailey here? Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to do one of those? Carlos, nice to see you. Sports and Things shows. Welcome to the chat. Boris, nice to see you too. And welcome. Mr. Antox, nice to see you as well. What a fucking start to the stream here. Let me tell you. By the way, did they like ban you or like kick you from the chat for the I don't remember, the chocolate horse whatever, chocolate horse jet, chocolate horse Canadian, I don't know. Or did they just let you amble on in the chat just as if nothing would happen, you know? Oh, shoot, I didn't tell you. Kristen, nice to see you. Welcome. Welcome to the chat, darling. Oh, I forgot to press send on the message. I forgot to, there you go. That's the issue. Oh, Lord. See right there. I just sent it. There you go. Apologize. Sorry, darling. But nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. All right. Well, there you go. That's my car story. Is that going on? Anyway, welcome everyone. Hope you're ready for some pro wrestling talk. We also do that here as well. I am excited. I am into it. I am full focused on giving you the best damn wrestling talk stream that you will stream until at least 10 p.m. Eastern. I will strive for that. I will do my best. I will do my best. So in the meantime, hey, if you want to leave a like on this stream, that would be tremendous. I appreciate it. If it's your first time here, glad to have you. Sorry you had to sit through all of that. Consider subscribing to the channel. That would be tremendous and excellent of you. As well. It'd be a little bit of both, but a like on the stream would be tremendous and awesome. And then as we usually talk about, well, earlier today, the Dynamite review has been released. It is available for everyone to consume. Once we're done with the live stream here in particular, that would be great. It was if I can give you a teaser for the Dynamite review, I really liked last night's Dynamite. I thought it was an excellent show. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I think that Dynamite is on a hell of a roll these days and like for weeks now. And I think it's really showing. I feel like there's a lot of cohesiveness in the product. The booking, I think, is really, really good. So there you go. I think you're more, and not only do I think, you are more than invited to give it a listen when you have a chance. It's a good review. I'm very enthusiastic. They're much more fun to do when I'm into it, when I'm very, very enthusiastic versus, having to, when I'm not quite as satisfied. Let's put it that way. So that's available right now. The Mr. Warren Hayes show proper was released yesterday as well. So if you didn't show up on stream at all over the past week or so, and you want to catch up with stuff we were talking about, well, that's your destination right there. And otherwise, it's the usual stuff. The Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord, if you want to continue these types of discussions with a with a level-headed community that is not entirely made up of weirdos, because DGMC is there. Feel free to join. Feel free to come on in. The link is in the description. We would love to have you. And I'm also on the Blue Sky at Blue Sky at MrWarrenHayes Talk Show. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And next week we'll be talking about the Voices of Wrestling Match of the Year list. The top 10 is going to be released for everyone tomorrow. There is a sneak peek that has been released to members of the Voices of Wrestling Patreon. If you're really champing at the bit to get your peepers on the top 10, well, you can jump right in right now. It's available there. You can go check that out. And it's a good top 10. And my number one did not make it to. My number one is not the number one. Is not the number one on the list, but that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going any further, and we'll probably talk about that on Monday and stuff. And and I know there's the Royal Rumble this weekend. If you want to talk about Royal Rumble, well, there are literally thousands of podcasts out there that will do it. you can go find your Royal Rumble talk somewhere else. I really don't care. We have some Royal Rumble adjacent topics on the docket tonight, but everyone, you know how this goes. We can't start just yet. Okay, not until.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Jacques Moliere. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a nunchuck master.
That's right.
I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Hoo-yah! That's right. No Royal Rumble talk, but car batteries, though. We'll talk about it for ages. I think Jacques Moliere knows how to change a car battery. He probably does. Did you guys know that Jake Hager thinks that snow is plastic? Because did you know this? Because he's been seeing people. I swear this kind of talk always happens when the southern part of the United States starts getting snow. And then they're like, it must be like a government conspiracy. It's the weather control machines and whatnot, And he's like, and then he shows people of taking videos of having a little butane lighter, right, up to a snowball. And they're like, look, it doesn't melt. Having learned nothing or forgotten everything from, middle school chemistry, how combustion works. What do they call it? The idea basically is that the heat that is created by butane ends up like burning, doesn't melt, but it burns, it creates soot, essentially. So what you're doing is it's creating soot on the snowball. It's not melting, it's full of plastic. And of course, the grand genius Jake Hager, he shares that. He talks about it. What the fuck is going on? I mean, cue the big demo tweet, but also Jake Hager is his own special brand of dumb. Yes, Big Damo is right, but then Jake Hager, I think he's in if he was in the Academy of Arts and Sciences and they were giving out Oscars at the end of the year, they'd make a special category for his special type of guy. That's the kind of dumb he is. So this is our docket tonight. Lots of little things. Again, it's not a particularly super busy week of news, I find. again, we're it hasn't overwhelmed us with incredible news. There's lots of little tidbits, lots of little things happening, but we'll see how far we get with all of this. We'll see how far we get. Slam Hub Wrestling, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. I remember the days when I used to get invited to vote for the Voice of Wrestling Match of the Year, and you're not anymore. Well, why don't you should have requested a ballot. You can absolutely do that. You could have done that. I'm sure that, I mean, I don't know. Like I'm zero involved in the process, but I do know that like the media can request, a ballot. So maybe it was in your spam folder, which is always the thing, right? Every single time. Did you check your spam folder? Yes. And I understand again why they asked the question, did you check your spam folder? Because a lot of people don't, because still to this day, particularly people my age and older, don't quite understand how it goes. But, Jesus Christ. It irritates me when people ask me, because I'm like, yes, I understand. I get it. A friend, hey, DJ Convoy, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. A friend signed me up for the Vow list thing. They want diverse voices. I don't know if that's a joke or not. But it's nice to see you. Also a member of the MrWarrenHayes show channel. It's good to see you. Didn't get invited just because one of my X accounts is suspended. That sounds suspicious. I don't know. I say try again next year. Why did you think I was joking? Because of the diversity thing. Because I don't want. Look, since we're already on, because sometimes Voices of Wrestling gets a bad reputation because there's certain things that that Joe in particular doesn't like, and then there's a Vow, particularly years ago, right? I'm like at this point, maybe 7-8 years ago, Joe would say things and had very, very strong opinions, and it's like. And, people are like, well, it's all, it's just white dudes with a podcast and everyone is white dudes. There's only white dudes. That's all there is. That's all what Voices of Wrestling is, without considering that Joe and Rich are not the only people who do content for Voices of Wrestling. Yes, they're the owners. They're the guys who oversee everything. There you go. So that's why I thought you were joking. I thought it was a Vow joke, essentially, based off of that. Anyway, clearly it was not. And we'll just shake off the awkward of this situation that I created all by my lonesome. I'm very good at that. And we're gonna jump right in with some actual like real news, not just like, what was the really stupid. There was a really dumb piece of, when Cody starts putting out quotes, when he starts saying things, I had a really nice gig at AEW, and then it's like, and then everyone aggregates that and make news out of it. This is not news. It's just Cody saying things. It doesn't matter. Like it's not news. What are we talking about here? And then sometimes you do get some real news and then it gets lost within the not news, I'm just saying they want to hear from as many people as possible. Okay, no, I know that, and you probably know that as well. That's really what they want. But yeah, when it comes to the match of the year stuff. But you know, there's the whole series of criticisms that exist in regards to Val, that overall there is no diversity. So you see, I thought you were making that joke. Anyway, I'm dragging this one too long. I really am. We're going to talk about the McMahons and the Ring Boy lawsuit, which is still ongoing. It hasn't been resolved. We're still doing some legal wrangling and whatnot. But we're going to read this article off the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 online, shall we? Fuck you, Mama. Nice to see you, and welcome to the chat. Vince and Linda McMahon have filed oppositions against plaintiffs' request to keep their anonymity in the ongoing Ring Boy lawsuit. According to Brandon Thurston of Post Wrestling, the McMahons are asking a federal judge to require the plaintiffs to litigate under their real names, arguing that the anonymity hurts their ability to defend themselves. The plaintiffs earlier this month had filed a motion to continue allowing them to use John Doe pseudonyms. In their arguments, both lawyers for both Vince and Linda McMahon cited recent cases involving Sean Combs and Kevin Spacey, where plaintiffs were required to use their names during proceedings, although those cases were in New York, whereas the Ring Boy lawsuit is taking place in Maryland, where it isn't required to follow those precedents. The McMahon's attorneys have also brought up the potential for limited confidentiality orders. Excuse me, I can read. The plaintiffs have until February 6th to respond to the oppositions. The lawsuit against the McMahons, WWE, and TKO was filed back in October of 2024, accusing the McMahons of knowing and doing nothing to prevent Mel Phillips from sexually assaulting underage boys in the 80s and early 90s. The case was held up as the Maryland Supreme Court considered the legality of the law that allowed plaintiffs to sue. The case was then allowed to continue when the court ruled in October that the law was constitutional. So, of course, of course, you know, in this circumstance, you know, of course, what the McMahons are trying to do here is, this is just an intimidation tactic, right? That's all there is to it. It's just an intimidation tactic because the plaintiffs in this situation should have a right to their anonymity. They shouldn't need to have their full identities be out there and available in the public record for stuff that happened when they were minors and, you know, unsavory stuff on top of that. It's already something that a lot of them have probably had a long extended and extended issues trying to deal with it. Notwithstanding, notwithstanding that one of the plaintiffs did commit suicide not that long ago. I think 3 years tops, 3 years tops, or something similar. So look, it's not an easy case, and it is not something that I feel like the burden should be bigger on these individuals who are trying to find some kind of closure, some kind of peace with this. It's an intimidation tactic, if you ask me. It's really just as simple as that, where Vince and Linda, they don't care. They don't give a shit. And they probably actually want this to happen because they know it's going to act as a deterrent if the John Does have to identify themselves, because they probably would want to, because, you know, there'd be a reasonable expectation then that the John Does just don't want their identity out there and might just drop out of the case. And if you think that the McMahons haven't thought about that possibility and are not playing this card for exactly that reason, well, welcome to the real world, I guess. Like, this is something, this is something that is absolutely a tactic. It wouldn't be surprising at all, right? And the precedents that happened in New York for the Sean Combs and Kevin Spacey trials. Look, I'm not a lawyer or anything. I'm not even familiar all that much, with the details of those court cases, but those two individuals still lost their cases, as far as I know, as far as I understand. They both lost their cases regardless. So, the defense of, well, we need better time to prepare. I think ultimately what the judge, ultimately what was established here in the idea that the John Does could keep their anonymity was, the judge was basically saying, we don't need to publicly name these people for you guys to properly defend yourselves. If you are free from any wrongdoing, then this will not be a problem. Why do you need to know that these children, these people, these adults now, when they were children, they were under your care and potentially had these bad things happen to them? You should be able to account for who these individuals are. You should be able to account for the actions you took in regards to Mel Phillips and the other outstanding evidence that exists, saying that you were made aware that people were telling you about Mel Phillips and so on and so forth. So you should be able to put together a proper defense. I think that's essentially what the judge said in their statement. But now the McMahons are opposing this because they want to humiliate these people. That's all there is to it. Because they know, both of them know, that the weirdos who support them, right? Because don't get me wrong, you have to be a weirdo to support people who are being accused of turning the other, of looking the other way when someone on their staff was, performing not inappropriate acts. That's the word I was looking for. Inappropriate acts on teenage boys. Like, you have to be that a special kind of weirdo to defend that. But nonetheless, there are weirdos who do stick up for Vince and for Linda, and these weirdos will come and attack the defendants in these circumstances. Look at what they did with Janelle Grant before her name was announced. They already tracked her down. They were plastering her name and her picture all throughout, all over the internet before the lawsuit had actually been made public. They had found her out. They were putting pictures of her anywhere. Like, this is what they do. And then it doesn't stop there, because once they have the names, once they have the pictures, then they chase them down. Then they find their address, their phone number. They dox them. And then they harass the families. They harass the employers. They just make their lives a living hell on top of the living hell that they're already living with, thanks to the alleged inactions of Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon. So this one still has to move through. So we'll February 6th, right? Of course, was the date by which the plaintiffs must challenge Vince and Linda's request here. Oh, and WWE, they decided to not oppose the use of the use of anonymity for the victims. That doesn't necessarily suddenly make them the good guys, but they're not standing with Linda and Vince in this circumstance are like, nah, just go ahead. Probably their legal department said, it's not worth it. Let's just, it's not worth it. We don't have to put up a fight. There's too many negatives if we do this. So there you go. So we're going to keep an eye on this, of course, moving forward. I hope everyone realizes that it's not going to get any better, but this is not going to go to court, right? This is going to go to, we're never really going to reach discovery on this, with this case. It's going to be settled out of court, unfortunately. So there you go. It's 100% an intimidation tactic. Yeah. Yep. Yes, it is. There's no other way to frame it. That's all there is to it. Speaking of intimidation, Josh Nason here wrote an article over in the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online regarding TKO and their tactics moving into when they move into to cities and want to work with officials. Let's read the article here. New reporting from The Guardian Wednesday has the estimated amount that Paramount Skydance is paying TKO for Zuffa boxing. Zuffa, is it Zuffa? I don't care. For Zuffa boxing broadcast rights, in addition to some interesting quotes regarding the tactics of WWE and UFC's parent company. Longtime boxing writer Thomas Hauser delved into the emergence of the new Zuffa entity and the concerns around fighter pay that have been a part of the conversation around UFC for years. In a passage regarding the controversial amendments around the Ali Act that TKO would like to put into place, Hauser wrote that several arenas like MSG and the Crypto.com arena in Los Angeles support the amendments, as do various officials with state athletic commissions. TKO and Zuffa play hardball, one state regulator, told The Guardian, and they generate so much revenue from WWE and UFC that no one wants to cross them. They're very good at instilling fear, another official said. The article goes into a Zuffa boxing contract in full detail, a contract which reads very similar to UFC contracts with regards to fighters' rights, fights they have to be offered every year, and that process, merchandise rights, and more. Many of these rights, while not exclusive beyond the term of the contract, extend non-exclusively in perpetuity. Hauser notes, WWE contracts were not mentioned. That's insane. That's insane. While not exclusive beyond the term of the contract, they extend non-exclusively in perpetuity. That's nuts. From the article, Hauser stated that it's believed TKO is getting $100 million per year for 12 boxing cards, which is a wide gap from the $1.1 billion UFC gets per year for its 40-plus numbered events and fight night cards via their new 7-year domestic rights deal. Look, here's the thing. WWE contracts were not mentioned in the reporting from The Guardian, right? Josh made that very clear that none of what's being said here directly applies to WWE. However, one can assume that this type of heavy-handed, aggressive nature that TKO has when working with state officials is something that is most likely a tactic that's used with WWE. Like that, I don't think anyone feels like TKO is taking a different approach when working with local partners when it comes to WWE, that they'll be super aggressive with Zuffa boxing, but they'll be nice and kind and happy, be very light, a very light touch with their partners when it comes to WWE. Absolutely not. In fact, we do recall, right? Wasn't it the mayor of Boston, if I'm not mistaken, who basically said, yeah, like we're not letting these guys in here. Like, these guys are creeps or something. Yeah, wasn't exactly the word creeps that was used, but they had publicly stated that, these guys come in and they think they own the place, but this is our city and it's our rules type of thing. And then people are like, oh, Boston will never get a WWE event. It shouldn't be at the cost of the taxpayers. That's what's insane. Like, one of the things that keeps baffling me every time when we're talking about the amount of money that something like TKO rakes in for pro wrestling, right? That pro wrestling always started off, and you can say the same thing about just about any pro sport, right? Like, soccer, hockey. These are all sports that started up as an escape for the blue collar worker, right? For basically, low income, median income individuals that, couldn't afford to go to the opera, to the theater and all these these highbrow events. Well, you'd have pro wrestling that you could go to. And it costs you, $10 for you and your date, or you and your best friend. You'd go in, you'd sit down, you'd watch some fights, you'd go home. That's essentially it, right? Or you'd go to the bar after, whatever. The point is that you'd go out, you'd have a good time, and it wouldn't cost you, it wouldn't be something that would drain you financially, because you didn't have the money to begin with, right? You're not rolling around with, credit cards that with a $10,000 in credit available on your card. You're just like, no, you come in, you pay your stuff, and you go home. And now it's crazy. It's like, no, we're not going to go to fucking Boston because the city is not going to pay to have pro wrestling there. It's crazy to me how much the perception of this business has changed from something that was always considered to be lowbrow, blue collar stuff that anyone really could pop in to go see and enjoy, and now is turning into a luxury event. It's something that has a high price tag attached to it that has now become exclusive, that only certain circles of people can go to enjoy. We've all heard the stories, where people now say, I can't take the family to a WWE show anymore because we won't eat for 2 weeks if we do. Or I'm going to spend a month, 2 months trying to refund the whole thing. Like, it's preposterous, It's really, really crazy to me how everything on that level has changed. How it's just not the same thing anymore. It's not something for the people anymore. It's just not for the people. It's for an elite. It's for people who have too much money. And they're not the target audience of professional wrestling to begin with. Like, the elite has never been the target of a professional wrestling show, because the elite will go, like I said, to the opera. They'll go to Broadway shows. They'll go watch, theater. They'll go to high class events, expensive events. They'll go to fine dining and so on. You're not supposed to go to pro wrestling. That's nuts. It's always something that's fascinating to me. And now we're in a world where TKO is asking site fees, massive site fees, to bring the show to town. And of course, the Saudi Arabia stuff, and and et cetera, right? It's not just this one thing. But of course, they're aggressive. Of course, they're aggressive, and they bully. What was the quote exactly here? They generate so much revenue for WWE from WWE and UFC that no one wants to cross them. So everyone plays nice because apparently it generates a lot of revenue for the cities. Apparently a lot of people come in, go to restaurants, have a weekend, make a weekend out of it, park their cars, Apparently it's a big revenue boost for a city. But then again, it's like this, this is the kind of thing that I ask myself, like, what kind of revenue boost does Las Vegas need? It's like, what does Las Vegas need as far as revenue? Like, as far as I understand, there's always people going around, fucking Las Vegas. Same thing with Orlando. Same thing with Los Angeles. Like, why are these destinations privileged? Why do people need to go there? What is the boost that is required, that is so great that cities that are always flush with tourists and people coming in to see the sights and take in the city, why would they be paying WWE, or TKO, I should say, to bring in their events? Is it really that much more? Do they really, really, really create that much more of a boost? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I really don't. And then, as it says, they're very good at instilling fear, because then they get everything they want. And then they do whatever they want. They set, they probably set the rules, they set the table, and everyone just plays along. That's how it goes. I think it's preposterous stuff. I think there might be other things going around as well. Might be, some little underhanded tactics that may be, to help, to help sway decisions, little secret handshakes that may contain, extra little things within the handshake that you can't quite make out and stuff like that. It's insane. It's really, really crazy. It's really crazy to me. Anyway, so I thought it was interesting to just point out that a lot of stuff that happens with TKO that we think happens is, starting to become a little more public knowledge. We're missing a lot of details, of course. I think I'm gonna. There, see, I knew I wanted to sneeze. There you go. I knew it was coming. But yeah, there's stuff out there that, there's stuff out there, but there's a lot of details that are missing. That was the point. That's where I was at. There's a lot of details missing, like, until we actually do see or, get some kind of like real testimony of what's going on. It's like we can only assume, or, we can doubt the validity of what's being told. But, we always kind of assume that there was some underhanded stuff happening, right? Right. Thank you for blessing me. I appreciate it. Billy Gunn would be in the top 200 if he was in Zuffa boxing. No. D. Owens, nice to see you. And welcome to the chat. D. Owens is also a member of the channel. Welcome. Didn't they sue Texas to suppress the numbers? Yes, they did. WrestleMania tickets are now on par with Wimbledon tickets. The difference here, like to me, the main difference to me is that Wimbledon tennis, it's always been a rich person's sport, So then I'm like, it doesn't like, to me, it doesn't shock me as much as professional wrestling. And I think I've told you all this before, right? It's like professional wrestling. Hey, Johnny69, thank you so much for the membership, my man. Welcome. I appreciate the support. I hope you enjoy it. Maybe I should sneeze more often. One sneeze, one membership. We're probably like 63 members away from me doing a weekly TNA review. Keep it up. Keep it up, you guys. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so that's the thing it's the thing, like it's shocking to me because pro wrestling is not supposed to be designed for rich people. It's common denominator, it's lowbrow, it's blue collar entertainment. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be disrespectful because, otherwise I'm making fun of myself, I'm being very self-loathing, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm just like, that's how it always has been. That's how it's been designed, essentially, Fear in what way? Did I say hello to you, AEW1? I don't remember. Because you're a member of the channel, and I should say hello, but I don't think I did. Hello and welcome. Fear in what way? The way that, look, again, we don't have many details, but we can think about the ways that they might instill some fear, right? Where it's, we won't bring the event then. Or, maybe they end up just having some dirt on some people. It's kind of like those Olympic scandals that happened years ago, right? The scandals that really disenchanted me on the whole Olympic organization, where it's just like, these officials visit towns, and these official visit towns, and they're taken care of. They don't spend a single dime. It's all expenses paid by like the candidate city. And I know all of this because Quebec City years ago tried to get the Winter Olympics, which is like the B team Olympics, right? Let's be honest. The big time Olympics are the Summer Olympics, but the Winter Olympics, that's the B team. That's the B team Olympics. And we were trying to get those. And I was ambivalent at first, and then I straight up became against them when you start realizing that all these officials, all these members of the International Olympic Council, right? The IOC, isn't that it? Or is it the OIC? No, it's IOC. They basically just come to the city and everything's on our dime. Everything is on our dime. And they expect the city to create all this infrastructure and so on and so forth. So it's an extremely huge economic burden on a municipal level for the taxpayer. And then on top of that, there's a lot of palm greasing. Then there's a lot of it ultimately turns into which official gave the most money to members of the council to be considered for this, right? What has been set up for them? That's essentially what the Olympic Selection Committee is all about. And it's preposterous and it's disgraceful, especially since this is all happening off of the back of amateur athletes. None of these people are pros. None of these people are making money off of this, right? Unlike, I was going to say FIFA chat, but it's kind of like the same thing. But FIFA, at least it's all with pros. All of these people playing during the tournament, they're all getting paid. The athletes, they might be getting stipends from their countries. And then again, it's only for the star athletes, really those who, the Olympic prospects. If any of them are making money, If any of them are making money through the government, it's really like the star athletes who touch any kind of money, right? If you're just going there to fill out a team, to round off, to to be the 8th guy on the rowing team, right? Whatever it is. Well, you're not touching anything substantial, right? You're not really making any real deal cash, So that's how I got really disenchanted with that. So, so what are the fear tactics? I think the basic fear tactic is, well, we're not going to bring our stuff here. Just as simple as that. Well, if you don't fulfill this requirement, I don't think we'll be able to come. And then they probably come in with some preposterous requests once the contracts are signed and everything. And they probably come in with some preposterous requests afterwards. Like, oh, well, we need this, we need that. Oh, that wasn't in the contract. Oh, you want to pull out the contract? Well, I think maybe it'll be time for our lawyers to step in, right? And trust me, TKO probably have some fucking corporate shark lawyers just waiting at the beck and call to come in after city officials, right? That's just how it goes. So these are all suppositions. I'm just throwing possibilities, how things might be going. We're all like speculating because nothing in the articles ever point out like, oh, well, this is specifically what they're doing to instill fear. But you can assume, like you can assume or suppose images in your mind, situations in your mind as to what exactly is going on. Kiwi Rob, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Oh, we'll get to those questions in a little bit. I promise. There are pros in the Olympics. Now it's how the dream team happened, though most of them aren't getting paid. Yes, but the pros, they're getting paid by their organization, but the skeet shooters are not. You know what I mean? And they're not pros, they're amateurs, right? And there's amateur wrestlers. For Canadians, the Winter Olympics are the A show. Hey, brother, I'm Canadian, and I still think the Winter Olympics are the B show. I think the big attraction is like the ice skating competitions. Is that what it is? Figure skating? When I was a kid, my mother fucking loved figure skating. She was, I watched so much figure skating when I was a kid. She loved it so much. That's still a thing. Are people really into that? Are people still into figure skating? I don't even know. Canadians see Winter Olympics as the thunder of the Olympics. I guess. I don't know. Like, I'm a very bad judge when it comes to this because I am extremely biased against the Olympics. That's another organization that should be torched to the ground and rebuilt on better, stronger foundations. But that institution is rotten to the core, brother. Winter Olympics is like watching World Tag League. Maybe not that bad. But look, comparison to comparison, the G1 is the Summer Olympics and Best of Super Juniors is the Winter Olympics. How about that? It's Super Junior Tag, the Super Juniors, the Best of Super Juniors. There you go. That's what I want. The Best of Super Juniors tournament. That's the B show. That's absolutely the B show. Everyone wants the G1. Everyone's excited for the G1. It's the G1 that matters. Weren't far off with that comparison there. Winter Olympics are the Rocky Romero of Olympic Games. Hey now! That's a very mean thing to say about Rocky Romero. Not sure he'd appreciate that. I love it when people talk about the amazing progress of the Saudi stadium, not realizing how it's happening. Wasn't that just the most frustrating series of like articles and opinions that just started flowing out there for the past couple of days? And you're like, motherfucker, do you understand? I don't remember who, I saw something in passing and I was just so mad. I just flipped right through it and was like, I'm not getting into this, online and whatnot. And, someone said, oh, this is, I can't believe, how efficient they were in and this is someone in media, right? Not a rando. We're talking about someone in media. And honestly, I cannot remember who it was. They're like, oh, it's so impressive at how efficient it was. This is what happens when you're able to, when you pay construction workers around the clock. And I'm like, paid, huh? Sure. Yeah. Sure that. I mean, look, we know there are people out there who just, who are ready to gobble up everything that WWE put out there without any questions, right? Without wondering, without putting your brain cells together and saying, oh yeah, they've got 3 shifts of guys working around the clock. Then it's 3 shifts and everyone is making a really good salary and they've got, union perks and whatnot. Sure. I'm so sure about that. Personally, I think it's embarrassing that WWE is holding an event in a stadium that was built just for them, just for this. I think it's embarrassing. If you're a hockey fan, Winter Olympics can be matched. I don't disagree, and I'm not a hockey fan. Look, ultimately, here's the thing. The Winter Olympics are not for me, right? I think is that the fair assessment? I guess that's the fairest assessment we can set up here. I don't care about the Winter Olympics. I don't care about the lugeing. I don't care about the skeet shooting, although skeet shooting is pretty funny. But not skeet shooting. It's not skeet shooting. It's the biathlon. It's the biathlon. Biathlon's pretty funny. It's literally like, training to snipe people in the forest. That's essentially what it is. It's wartime training in the great north. With all of our biathletes. That's why the US will never invade us, is they're afraid of our biathletes. Curling. And I don't hate curling. That's the thing. Like, curling is the kind of sport. This is my relationship with curling. It's late. I'm done podcasting. Okay. I've done, editing down stuff for the podcast or for clips or whatever the fuck, right? I'm done. I'm wrapping everything up. I've just sent a couple of emails. Go and plop down on the couch. My dog jumps up next to me, snuggles up. I'm flipping through the channels. And then, would you look at that? It's the Briar Cup. Next thing I know, New Brunswick is taking on Saskatchewan. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch this. And I'll sit there. I'll have a soda or something, or just a glass of water. Just be there going. It's like, hey, he kicked that guy Stone out of the circle. This guy's pretty good, I think. I don't know. Like, I understand the basics of curling, but I couldn't pick a good player from a bad one. Is this guy doing a good job with his broom? Is he sweeping fast enough for this Stone to move forward? You know what? The thing that impresses me the most about curlers is that I'm assuming that's what you call them, right? The thing that impresses me the most about people who do curling are the people who sweep, and they're sweeping. You've seen it, right? They're sweeping really, really fast, just like they're cranking it, right? And they're going so fast, and they never bump into themselves physically, never bump into the other stones that are on the ice. They'll just they'll just casually just like sway over them, and while they're going there and going, as if their fucking lives depended on it, as if they, you know what I'm talking about. That's really impressive. That's really fucking impressive. I love that. So that's my relationship with curling. But I'm not a big sport. I don't watch like legitimate sports. I don't like, again, like I don't know if any of you were around back when I returned from podcasting after my operation in 2024. I was putting over the fact that my oldest son, who had spent a few months here taking care of his dumb old dad, we started watching steel lumber sports, STIHL, right? The like the chainsaws and whatnot. And they have these competitions where they have these fucking lumberjacks doing all these, all these crazy things, where they're chopping down a fucking tree like within 30 seconds with just an axe, and then they're doing these chainsaw shit. And I'm like, this fucking rules. So I'm sitting there, on my couch, not unlike after when I'm done podcasting, only, my chest has been freshly split open and, and I'm still I'm still pretty much in pain all the time. And my oldest is there, and we're like, yeah, and we're cheering on teams from, I don't know, Finland, because they're really good at this shit. It's really fucking awesome, and you can find all sorts of them on YouTube. And I think when we were watching it, we were like in the midst of like the World Series of lumber sports. That shit rules. That was awesome. But don't come talking to me about I don't know moguls. When they do the moguls and they're destroying their hips coming downhill, on their skis, the moguls. Destroying their hips on the way down. It's fantastic stuff. What a fucking sidebar that was. Are the moguls a clown game? Because it's pretty funny. Is chainsaw juggling a lumberjack game? No, but it's a whole other discipline. Honestly, yeah, it was on ESPN too. I love that stuff. I loved it so much. Mr. Warren? What's the shirt you're wearing? This is my sweater of the greats of Quebec wrestling, historical Quebec wrestling. So we've got Yvon Robert that's here. Let me move this. We got Johnny Rougeau. We got Mad Dog Vachon, Dino Bravo. We've got Joe and Paul Leduc right here. We've got Paul the Butcher Vachon. Then we've got Tarzan Labottine Tyler. Then we got the great Antonio down here, Pat Patterson, and Pierre Lefebvre, Pierre Mad Dog Lefebvre. It's an awesome sweater. It's a pal that gave it to me. Sports discussions would be in the docket every week. Look, if all else fails, this podcast will turn into a lumber sports podcast. If all else fails, if I really get fed up with pro wrestling, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Mr. Warren Hayes, question. Is it true that the women's wrestlers have to pay for their own gear for the Saudi shows? Because I saw a rumor that said that. I saw that too. And I don't know what the big deal is. I'm sorry to say, I don't know what the big deal is because wrestlers all pay for their gear. Every wrestler pays out of their pocket for their gear. WWE, AEW, NWA, Indies, every wrestler pays for their gear. So, hey, Mr. Fretz, nice to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing good as well, man. Sorry about the Leafs. That's always the easiest thing you can say to someone from Toronto. Just sorry about the Leafs. Yeah, again, I don't know what the big deal is. Like, there's a lot of people who are acting like it's the end of the world. Now, I understand that there's a mandate in Saudi Arabia. I understand that there's a mandate in Saudi Arabia that, you know, of course, the women are going to have to be covered up to their fucking chins, right? You know, they can't show skin and whatnot because, you know, that's what a progressive, you know, that's what a progressive society allows, right? It's show no skin at all, right? That's what a progressive country does. You know, that's very forward thinking with how they treat women. Anyway, So I understand, like, it's a mandate. It's a state mandate for the women to do this, right? But I mean, most of them going into the Royal Rumble, they're all going to make special gear regardless. They were all going to make special gear regardless, especially those who are going to have special entrances or are going to be surprises. Yeah, I mean, I understand that I understand that it sucks, but they all pay for their gear regardless. I don't know if unless there's something I'm really missing, because as you know, like I don't follow WWE really closely, so maybe there's something that I completely missed, there's something that I whiffed. But as far as I understand, there's like, I don't know. It's like there's precedent for this. You know, it's like the norm. And again, let's be real. Most of these women would all have new gear made for the show. They'd all have new gear made for the Royal Rumble. The men don't have to get special gear. The women do. No, I understand that. But that is independent as to whether or not they have to make the gear or not. Like the main issue is not the women have to pay for their gear. The main issue is the women have to cover up. You know, like I said, they essentially have to wear one-piece turtlenecks. That to me is much more cause for concern and outcry than they have to pay for their gear. I mean, the paying for the gear is par for the course. Like I'm just like, sure, okay. But the idea that they have to still cover up because, you know, a woman's body is, it's the fruit of all sin. That to me is much more egregious. It's much more problematic than, oh, the women have to pay for their gear. They're going to have to pay for their gear regardless. They're going to pay for their WrestleMania gear. You know what I mean? And then you can bring the argument absolutely to say, well, at least when they do it for WrestleMania or for the, you know, SummerSlam or, you know, Great Balls of Fire or whatever the fuck, at the very least, then that's their choice to do it. I will concede that you are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So I could listen to an argument where someone would tell me, but okay, this is not their choice. This is the company that is working in this environment and therefore is imposing this expense on their female workers. So maybe the company should be shelling out some money. And I'm like, Okay, that makes sense to me. But I don't see, the thing is that I don't understand the outrage over the fact that they have to pay for it. I think we're missing the point. It's not that they have to pay for their gear, is that they have to wear that kind of gear in the first place. We're missing the point. Does that make sense? Is this just like complete gibberish? Because I feel like I'm making sense. I feel like I'm making sense. I'm sure there will be men who wrestle in gear they've worn before. Absolutely. Yes. But then there's going to be a lot of them who are going to make their own, going to make new gear because it's the Rumble. There's going to be people cosplaying as superheroes and all this bullshit, and they're never going to wear that gear again. They're going to put it up on, they're going to store it away in the closet, and then they'll, sell it on eBay in a few years when the contract when they lose their WWE contract and they spent all their money. So again, I can appreciate someone saying, well, the company is forcing this expense on their female employees. The company should spring for a percentage of it. They should cover it, or at least, cover 25%, 50%, whatever. They should, it shouldn't be only the women who pay for this. And I agree, but that's not the issue. That's not the main problem. The problem is that they're working in a country that forces this upon them. It's the issue is not WWE forcing the women to pay for it. It's WWE forcing their women to wear that in the first place. That's the issue. Who cares whether they're paying for it or not? The main issue is that they have to do it in the first place. I don't know how else to put it. Yes, but at least they're on the show. Oh, yes, look at our progress. Exactly. The women are basically under sheets, but don't worry, at least they're on the show. WWE should be pitching in to help with the extra cost. They don't have to, so they won't. But they should. So fans should speak up. Simple as that. I don't disagree. I completely understand where you're coming from, and like I said, I can accept that kind of argument. But fans should be speaking up that the women have to wear the fucking thing in the first place. That's the issue. That's the problem. If we didn't have to do that in the first place, no one would be paying nothing for a full body jumpsuits that hide all of your sinful curves. That's the thing. That's the issue. I don't give a shit about the paying. It's so fucking secondary because the issue goes beyond that. It's as if you'd say, well, I got arrested out of my home, right? By ICE, because I had left my door open and they came in. Well, no, the issue is, if I had closed my door, ICE wouldn't have come in. No, the issue is that ICE is in your city in the first place. That's the issue. It's not whether you're being arrested, whether your door was unlocked or not. The issue is ICE in your city. That's the issue. We're too micro focused when you have to stand back and look at the bigger picture. But at least women can drive there now, as long as their husbands okay it. This is always the part that they always leave out. The husbands still have to approve. This is the part that they all leave out. Yes, women can drive cars now, but only if the old man says yes. Warren, you're allowed to be outraged at more than one thing at a time. Absolutely. Here's the thing. The thing here is that the outrage is not put in the right place. Because, okay, here's the thing. Let's look at it this way. If WWE flipped everything around and said, "Hey, we heard you. We heard the rumors. We heard you, and we want from this point moving forward, we will be paying for our female talent's gear when we have to go to Saudi Arabia." Does that fix the problem? Does that make everything okay? I would say no, because the girls still have to fucking wear the shit. Because the girls are still treated like a different brand of citizen. I don't think it fixes the problem. That's the issue. You know? It's just we're not focusing on the right thing because the problem is larger than just this one thing, which also is a thing that just happens in wrestling all the time. It's not even a problem. It's just like the wrestlers pay for their gear. Now, if we wanted to have a talk about, $1 billion company should be paying for their wrestlers' gear to begin with, then I would absolutely agree with that. Just like $1 billion companies should pay for their transportation and their hotel. It's like we can have the conversation on many levels as to what a TKO should be paying for its talent. The 1099 contractor would be the problem over the buying of gear. Providing gear would be a further violation, erosion of the shaky legal pillars they used to claim that the wrestlers aren't employees. That's probably, that makes a lot of sense to me. And that's quite likely a reason why they don't do it. To not create, to not blur the lines between contractor and employee. That makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense to me. That problem will never get fixed because it's a religious... No, you can fix the problem. I disagree, Silver Apocalypse. You can fix the problem. Don't hold shows in Saudi Arabia. Problem fixed. Then the women don't have to wear the long johns ever again. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Which is why, again, like I understand and I completely understand. And especially when we say, yes, you can be outraged at multiple things at once. And I agree. Like when you hear the news, when you hear the rumor, you go, fuck, this is stupid. That's exactly the reflex I had. I was like, this is really stupid. This is dumb because it's mandated. The company should be paying for their female talents gear. But then when you take a minute, you just step back and you're like, wait a second, that's not really the problem. The real problem is that the women have to make this gear in the first place, whether TKO pays for it or not. That's the issue. That's the problem. Who pays for it is secondary. The main issue is that they have to do it in the first place. The time for no more Saudi Arabia shows would have been when everyone was held hostage. Yeah, pretty much. That was the perfect time to say, you know what, we're not doing this shit again. But Vince likes money. He liked the money. I mean, the fix to this is fairly simple. Just don't hold the shows there. It's fairly straightforward, and we don't have to swim around and say, oh, that this is bad and this is bad, and it's all bad. Vince liked multi-million-dollar payouts more than his talent. wasn't Brock on his plane? Except, wait a sec. If I remember correctly, but Warren, did you think about the money? Convoy. I seem to remember Vince left on his private jet, right? He left on his own chartered flight. And I think Brock did too, right? Wasn't it something like that? There was talent on his flight with him. And I'm pretty sure Brock was there. And there might have been someone else. Yeah, the commercial they made Bailey cut. They made Bailey cut about Saudi Arabia. But yeah, okay, so it was Brock, right? Brock wasn't Vince's, was on the jet. So Vince liked his money, the multi-million dollar payouts, and Brock. He liked them both. All those commercials were those commercials for Air Saudi that was all fucking embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. They were all so embarrassing because that was all in the because it was all very, very fresh in everyone's mind, the hostage, non-hostage taking situation, right? That was all very, very fresh. Very poor optics. Anyway, let's move on. There's your Royal Rumble talk. That's all pretty much we're going to be talking about. We've got injury news, unfortunately. We have to talk about Bozilla confirmed that she tore her ACL. It's an article off of the Wrestling Observer, Figure 4 Online. Josh Nason, our boy, shout out Josh. Female wrestling prospect Bozilla. Well, come on, she's more than a prospect. She's working for what is likely the number one earning promotion in Japan right now. Like what? She's more than a prospect. She's a star in that company. Anyway, she will miss a considerable amount of time due to a completely torn ACL. That will require surgery. The 5'11 standout took to Instagram Thursday to confirm the news that she sustained the injury on a January 11th match at Stardom New Year's Stars in Tokyo, Japan. She noted she was able to make it through the 5-on-4 handicap match, but her knee completely gave out at the end. Well, hey, how you doing? How you doing, Max? Nice to see you. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it tremendously. Talk about how great I am. I'm drunk and bored. So it's the full combination. So basically what you're telling me is that you're at home with the wife. It's essentially what you're saying. Nice to see you drop by. I think we are going to talk about you, right? Yeah, we see you're on my docket tonight, Max. You're right there. I've got you lined up. Let me get through these injuries, and then we'll talk about you. So try to keep your spirits alive and lively tonight. All right, where were we? Over here. So this is a quote from Bozilla here. She says, honestly, it still doesn't seem real. I'm deeply devastated and still struggling to find the right words. I wish this wasn't true, but unfortunately it's reality. And the Deutschland Germany native, what? That's the same thing, Josh. The Deutschland, Germany native, Josh, it's the same thing. You're basically saying the Germany native. That's exactly what you're saying here. Josh, come on now. It's the same thing. The German native credited the Stardom team for their help that night as she has begun her recovery. She has no idea when she will return or how long she will be out for, as the surgery hasn't happened yet. Yeah, so it's bad news. I mean, it's never a good thing to get injured. as I always say, I want pro wrestlers to have long, healthy, active careers, regardless of what I personally think of them. But I'm not saying this because I don't like Bozilla. I like Bozilla. But the idea here, torn ACL, that fucking sucks. And she is going to be out for a while. And that's going to be an issue for her throughout her career. Because we didn't get her age, but she's like super young too. Like she's in her early 20s or something to that effect, right? Let me check real quick. She's 22 years old. Like, I don't know what kind of situation, what they do for their training or whatnot, But we've seen it so much with the performance center. We've seen it so much with the performance center, and with all the women over there training and getting ACL tears and getting ACL tears in the ring. I don't know. I don't know what the training regimens are like. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because it happens so frequently to the women as opposed to the guys. It just doesn't happen all that often. So there's clearly something in the training that is not quite adapted to women. Is that the thing? I don't understand. I don't get it. It sucks. And look, Josh may have called her a prospect, but I do understand his intent. Is that she's a rising star. So this stuff really does stink because now it's going to hamper her development and her momentum moving forward. And an ACL tear, Jesus Christ, at 22, that's not good. It's just not good, everyone. So speedy recovery to her, of course, and speedy recovery to Jake Doyle, who suffered a torn bicep on AEW Dynamite. Again, another article from the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer. Midway through the match, Doyle took an apron DDT from Cash Wheeler. Although the exact moment isn't fully confirmed, the injury appeared to happen when Doyle held on to the top rope while landing on the apron, with the added pressure seemingly tearing his biceps. Actually, you can see the exact moment that the tear happens, because immediately you can hear the camera mic pick up Doyle saying, "I just tore my fucking bicep." So we can see the exact moment where it happens. Doyle was also heard calling out the injury and was later confirmed by Brian Alvarez. No official statement has been shared on the injury. Now, look, I talked about it on the Dynamite review earlier today. That really, really bummed me out. That really, really bummed me out because I've always liked Jake something. I'm very excited for him to jump into AEW. I thought he was a good fit, because the company kind of needed more like just burly, no nonsense brawler types that could go, that have the cardio, that have the explosiveness. I've always had a soft spot for Jake something. And then they paired him up with Mark Davis, and I'm just like, this fucking rules. What a great idea. And I was so excited for this tag team. There was so much momentum going. And now it's like, okay, now it all just comes crashing. They were clearly setting up something with Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, right? And it was like, okay, we're really going to try and do something with this team. And now I'm so bummed out because of what happened to Doyle, but I'm also bummed out for Mark Davis, who, gets injured. He's gone forever. While he's gone, you've got Kyle Fletcher, who, becomes a single star. So Mark Davis returns, but we're not reuniting Aussie Open. Like, we're not when we're in the ascension part of Kyle Fletcher's career. And Mark Davis is kind of just like always, kind of been there, but never quite knew where to fit in afterwards. Now this team here, these two dudes, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. And it's a team that is just like unlike anything else you have in AEW. And this happens and I'm very upset. Like it doesn't happen very often that I get really upset at an injury where I'm like, fuck, this fucking sucks. And here we are. Yeah, like this is one of them here. Man, it really sucks. And look, speedy recovery. Hopefully it's, we can cross our fingers that it's a partial tear, not a full tear. Look, we can only hope for the best possible outcome here, essentially. That's the best we can do, and hope Mr. Doyle gets back on his feet real soon. Man, this fucking sucks. It sucks. It really sucks. I feel so bad for him and Davis, who's about to get back on track. Exactly. Yeah, pretty much what I was saying. I'm glad at least Jake has a better paycheck, I'm assuming, and will be able to rehab without worrying about being broke. You will notice that he didn't start a GoFundMe to pay for his medical. You did notice, right? So yes, he is in much better hands if he had still stuck around in TNA, despite their number 2 promotion media deal. Don Callis can't keep any teams together. Remember the Murder Machines? Drew! Two big dudes, right? And then Brian Cage gets injured. You're right. I always thought Mark Davis and Buddy Matthews would have been a cool tag team, and not just because they're both Australian. I agree. Yeah, sure. That would have been fun too. Doyle. No, wait. How were we saying it last night, Kristen? Doyle. Doyle. The man that strikes fear in people's hearts, Buddy Matthews. Look, Max, if you're still drunk and bored and still listening, I put that over on the Dynamite review earlier today as probably as one of Max's funniest lines in a while. I thought that was really, really funny. The man whose name strikes fear in people's hearts, for Buddy Matthews. That was such a tremendous line. So I hope that was good enough for you, Max. Look, we'll talk about MJF right now since he popped in. Just a little something here, but it's an interesting comment. No, yes, it is interesting, but also it's one of these where you're like, when you hear an actual wrestler say it, you're like, duh. But it bears being said, Anyway, let's read this article again from the Wrestling Observer, Figure 4 Online. According to MJF, the tribalism that exists between AEW and WWE fans on social media is not replicated in the actual locker rooms. MJF's told Rolling Stone Australia, there's an Australian Rolling Stone. What do they cover? What bands do they cover? Midnight Oil? King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard? Tame Impala? And that's it, right? After that, what? And then they do the yearly retrospective on In Excess. And what else is there? What does Australia need a Rolling Stone version for? What else is there? Flight of the Conchords, that's a comedy bit. I know they did music too. But no, wait, they're from New Zealand. They're not even from Australia. Hang on a second. Like Jamie, I can't remember their names for the life of me, but the guy with the glasses, right? They're from New Zealand. Not even from Australia. Men at work. Okay. Fair. Okay. Now maybe we're starting to justify the existence of Rolling Stone Australia. Okay, hang on a second. Let's get serious here. So, Does Russell Crowe have a band? He did have a band, come to think of it. Didn't Russell, hang on. Russell Crowe, I'm sorry, Max. Russell Crowe did have a band. There you go. 30 odd foots of grunts. I couldn't remember the name, but that's it right there. 30 odd foots of grunts. And they released 3 studio albums, a video album, okay? And including Russell Crowe, he was in the band. I knew this, I just couldn't remember the name of the band. So I don't think Russell Crowe's band has been prolific enough to sustain a full magazine, a full Rolling Stone edition for Australia. Had at least a year of Rolling Stone Australia cover stories. He bullied them into doing it. That's the thing. He just constantly threatened them to beat them up if they didn't do it. Tom Hardy had mixtapes. Hailstrummer from Australia? Wait a second. I might just be learning something here. Hailstrummer from Australia? Okay. Hang on. We'll get to the article, I promise. This is really interesting. Hailstrom. They're Australian? Hailstorm. No, I'm sorry. I'm misspelling it. No, they're from the United States. Pennsylvania. Boring. Unless there's another hailstorm. Unless I didn't spell it right. Hailstorm. Oh, that's it. I spelled it right. Anyway. Back to the article. Because MJF came in and paid me, so I have to talk about him. That's how it works, folks. Australia, Pennsylvania is the Australia of the Northeast. MJF told Rolling Stone Australia that bad blood between AEW and WWE talent just doesn't exist. That was an exact quote right there. Some wrestlers might take pride in being with a certain company, but they don't have any hatred towards the competition. And this is MJF's quote right here. As far as wrestlers like Adam Copeland, John Moxley, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, these guys aren't turning around and saying, F that other company. They're not in real life. I'm sorry. They're just looking for a place to hang their hat, MJF said. And then you have certain guys who feel very passionate about the company they're in, and they would never want to leave, you know? Everybody's different. Everybody looks at professional wrestling different. Some people look at it as, I love professional wrestling, but I love money more, so I'm going to go to this place. Some people care more about the creative side of things and feeling free as both an entertainer, an artist, and as a professional athlete. What I will say is that there's no bad blood between the boys and the companies. It just doesn't exist. MJF has called tribalism, quote unquote, dumb when talking about the subject in the past. In the Rolling Stone Australia, see, it's so unreal to me, I can't say it. In the Rolling Stone Australia interview, he credited the existence of AEW for helping make the wrestling industry a healthier place where people can make more money than they did ever before. He would be correct. He feels wrestling is more culturally relevant now than it has been at any point since the Attitude Era. Here's another quote from MJF. Forget the fans. I don't care about the fans. But the fact that the wrestlers now have places to hang their hat more now than ever is really cool. And the fact that when we started that, we became that alternative. We forced WWE or TNA or MLW to go, oh man, we have to pay our talent more money because there's a new show in town. I think that's incredible. And that's, anyone with their head screwed on tight absolutely sees this advantage and goes, we are better off having another high level wrestling promotion where wrestlers can just make a lot of money off of that. And that's just normal, right? I mean, why am I bringing this up? Why did I put this on the docket? Just to go like, of course, because we need this kind of stuff needs to get out there more. It really has to be talked about more often, right? Like the stuff, like sometimes I think people would be surprised at how much people from different promotions, wrestlers from different promotions actually talk to each other or send text messages. I'm not talking about people who have beef with each other, right? I'm pretty sure, the Hanger isn't texting Phil Brooks, every 2 days saying, "Hey Phil, how you doing?" I don't think so. But, we're talking just because here's the thing. This is also something that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of these people that are working, in these high level promotions, a lot of them came up together. A lot of them worked with each other on the indies in, let's say, Ring of Honor or TNA or whatever, before AEW showed up. And they're just like, and now they're in AEW, they're in WWE, they're making gobs of money. They're just like, yeah, we hang out. Look, wasn't it not that long ago, just before the holidays, there was this story going around that I don't remember who told the story. I think it might have been one of the Jacksons talking about how they ran into Kevin Owens on a beach, like in some place wherever, and they just accidentally ran into each other and they spent the day together, and they weren't sitting around talking about, pro wrestling all day. I'm pretty sure they probably talked a little shop, but they're on vacation. These guys are friends. They run into each other like, holy shit, you guys are here too. It's like, it's so incredibly weird. Like the tribalism, the tribalism, ultimately what it does is it ends up just serving the promotions. It serves the promotions because the promotions want that kind of loyalty. They want the fans to pick a side so that it is easier for the promotions to monetize those fans. When I say monetize, I mean selling them tickets to the show, selling them pay-per-views in the case of AEW, selling the subscriptions for their partners in the case of WWE, or merch, right? That's why there's no like big pushes from the promotions to go, everyone should listen to a little bit of everything. No, they're like, no, fuck no. Don't go around listening to anything else. Listen to us. We are the promotion. We are the ones, right? Forget the other guys. And the people who push that narrative online are people who, again, stand to benefit from it in whichever way. Eric Bischoff always being a go-to example of someone who stands to benefit from creating a divide and making sure that people understand that AEW sucks and WWE has the superior product. Now, why do you think that is? Old Uncle Eric is trying to work his way into a nice cushy Legends deal. He'd love that. He'd fucking love that. And to be on WWE's good side, like he's going to be in the Monday Night Wars collector's edition of fucking 2K26, right? His face is on it. So he's going to jump in and do that. So for him, it's a question of survival because it's the only way he remains relevant in this type of environment, right? It's the only way. Same goes for a lot of people where if they feel they have to pick a side, so that they too can monetize their fan base, their viewer base, their listener base, and get them to shell out, subscriptions, Patreons, super chats, bits, whatever it is. That's all there is to it. There is no shock to me in these types of comments that MJF made, where it's like, the boys don't care. They really don't. They'll care about who's in their locker room. They'll care about the people they have to work with, or who they have to work with, because that's relevant to them. But whether or not there's people arguing online as to whether WWE or AEW is the bigger, better product, they want more choices. Like MJF said it himself. I mean, it's just basic math at this point. They just want more opportunities to go and make a living. That's all they want. That's all wrestlers want. They want choice. They want to be able to go elsewhere. You know, in the 2 decades where WWE practically ran alone without any substantial second promotion where people could go and make a healthy living doing televised professional wrestling, there's the wrestlers, while they were there, just had they were terrified to piss off Vince or to do something cross, because then they just get thrown out. Their dreams would probably go down the toilet and be like, well, I just lost the biggest opportunity. I just lost the biggest paycheck and I'll never be able to get it again, or whatever the fuck. And they have to go, and that would instantly mean going back on the indies, right? Or going to work for TNA for less money, or Ring of Honor for less money. You know, that's just how it goes. So there's a lot of positive here. That's what we always say here. That's why we keep saying over and over again, you know, it's like the only reason that TKO has been, or tried to obstruct AEW in multiple ways, is because AEW ends up hurting TKO's bottom line because they have to compete with someone else on the market. Remember, TKO, owners of UFC, right? Also, and UFC's model was buying up the competition so that there wouldn't be any competition, so that they would be the only game in town. So when it came time to negotiate contracts with fighters, Dana White would just say, well, it's my offer, take it or leave it. Where else are you going to go? Where else are you going to go to make this kind of money? Nowhere. Why? Because I own everything. Or I've bought out everything, I should say. We need more coverage of MJF's interview with that Disney World podcast. Was legitimately some of the best outreach I've seen to non-wrestling fans ever. I did not watch it because I was thinking it's this kind of Disney adult type of podcast. I mean, good for Max if it created some good publicity. I might check it out now. Maybe. It's like the people that think defense attorneys hate prosecutors and vice versa. Sure, there's a few true believers, but we tend to find them weird and find them more in common with our fellow litigators than differences. Exactly. You know, I've hung around lawyers in my type of work, and, you know, so on and so forth, and they all know each other, and a lot of them, you know, they all hang out in the same bars and the same dives, and they all end up in the same spots. And sure, there's people who don't like each other because that's just like normal human behavior. But there's a lot of prosecutors and defense lawyers that end up in the same spot, and they drink and they pal around and they watch the same sports teams on the screens in the pubs, and that's just how it goes. It's just like, there's a lot of stuff that happens online, not just for pro wrestling, that gives you the impression that everything is very binary and you have to go one way or another, right? It's either this or that, and there's very little wiggle room for nuance. Not saying finding just being between. No, more like nuance. And the human experience is much more nuanced than black and white. You know, you know, that's, but you know, when you hang around online too much, when you hang around online, you don't have that, that perspective gets thrown out the window somehow, you know, and you realize that a lot of the people who hang out online just don't have real world experience. It's just, you know, sometimes it's just as simple as that. Or they have a clear agenda. I don't know. There are some folks in WWE that are pretty brainwashed. Sure. I'll give you that, or at least give the impression that they are. But I agree. Look, I mean, you know, I'm sure like Max was doing a sweeping statement here. Basically, you know, to say the majority of people, right? Of course, you're going to have weirdos. You're going to have weirdos. And, you know, he said it himself when he said, you know, you have certain guys who feel very passionate about the company they're in and would never want to leave, you know? Like, he's not saying, oh, there's these fucking weirdo hardcores, but he acknowledges, you know, there are people who are, you know, there are people who feel very passionate. I think the takeaway of what he's saying here is, you know, overall, wrestlers are just wrestlers and are normal people, and they just they have friends across the business, and they just want to chill out and chat. That's essentially it, right? I think there is a lot of that. Now, there's stuff sometimes that you do that can give a bad impression, right? Like Ricky Starks a few years ago showing up at the Royal Rumble, or was it the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, to see Cody Rhodes while he was still underemployed with AEW, and you're like, nah, this is weird. Like, that from a public perception is just strange. Doesn't necessarily become a tribal thing, but it is nonetheless a weird thing to do, you know? Anyway. More places to get a paycheck, push up salaries, ply your trade. I think there are less people that are brainwashed than you think. I think most just know how to be good soldiers for whoever they work for, like Seth Rollins. I think that's a very good example. You know, I think Seth is a very, very good example of that. And sometimes you just understand. It's just like, you know, you want to be excited. I mean, this is a business of hype too. So, you know, you're going to preach for your environment. You're going to preach for your company, your promotion, whatever. If you like where you're working, of course. If you don't, well, you're going to bury it once you get the opportunity. But, you know, that's kind of how it goes. Don't know if this is covered in your Dynamite review, but Ciampa was one of the guys who wanted to stay down in NXT forever and never wanted to get called up for multiple reasons. I remember that. I did not talk about that on the Dynamite review. But I do remember that from back in the day where Ciampa was like, I never want to be called up, because he's not a dummy either. He's not a dummy either. Because he knows, look, first of all, okay. And I'm not saying that this was the only reason, right? Because he was legitimately over. He was the villain of NXT. He was the guy every fan wanted to see get his ass kicked. And he was very good at it. But he also understood that, you know, once up on main, a guy his size, he's not a tall dude. You know, he's like, Vince is in control. Vince likes his big lads. He likes his big guys. Like, he pushes Brock at every opportunity he gets, you know, and so on and so forth. So he's a smart guy. He saw how it was on the other side. He's like, I don't want to go up there. He saw how people being called up were being handled up on main roster, and probably a couple of people that he thought would be sure things, and they get fumbled. That was legendary, you know, back in the black and gold days, where someone would come up and was immediately fumbled by Vince or repackaged or whatever. It's like, that's not going to happen to me. And the other reason was, yes, schedule, spend more time with his family, rest his neck up more. Because let's not forget, right? Like a full month of NXT was taped in a day at Full Sail. They do a full pay-per-view cycle. They do a month. Don't want to say a full pay-per-view cycle because it wasn't every month. But they do a month on one taping at Full Sail. So they tape in they come in, tape 4 weeks of shows, go home, and wait, collect the check, go lift weights, not skip leg day, pretty much. Anyway, it's all, I think it's always good to be reminded sometimes that the tribalism isn't as deep as we think it is, and that a lot of it is just fans and the good old fashioned grifter class that benefit from fan feelings and resentments and stuff like that. Let's finish up talking about AJ Styles. We'll get to the rest of this stuff on Monday. Again, from the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online, AJ Styles has made a couple of trademark filings that are sure to increase speculation about what his next move will be. This weekend, Styles' in-ring career could come to an end at the Royal Rumble. He's facing off against Gunther in a match where Styles will retire if he loses. So a loser leaves town match. That's all we could have said. We just could have called it a loser leaves, well, it's not a loser leaves town because it's not applicable for both guys. They should have just applied it to both guys. Make it really dramatic. Not just, is that the stipulation? It's just like if AJ loses, he leaves WWE. Is that the thing? Is good, why not just go, if you're going to have one guy leave the company, just do it a loser leaves town and give us a little more drama, right? Where Gunther also, okay, I just want to make sure. I want to make sure. Let's just pull it up here. No, that's the 2025 one. That's the 2025. There we go. Okay. Career threatening match. If Styles loses, he will be forced to retire from in-ring competition. That's a dumb stip because Gunther has nothing to lose. That's the thing. That's a very dumb stipulation. Gunther has nothing to lose in this match. So, best case scenario for him, is that he pins AJ Styles. Worst case is, well, just an L in the column. That's the worst case scenario. Just go ahead. Don't be fucking cowards. And just like pull the stipulation. Loser leaves town. It's a dumb stipulation without it. Anyway. Styles has filed for 2 trademarks ahead of the bout, applying for the term the phenomenal AJ Styles on January 28, along with the P1 logo he's used during his career. Alan Jones, which is Styles' real name, is listed as the owner on both the trademark applications. They note that Styles has used the phenomenal nickname since at least 2001 and the P1 logo since at least 2012. The trademark applications list that they are for goods and services related to performances by a professional wrestler, with the P1 trademark also covering merchandise that Styles could potentially release. We're not reading the exact areas of influence. Just know it's providing wrestling news and information, things related to pro wrestling and merch, shirts and short sleeve shirts, sweatshirts, and all this bullshit. While these filings could indicate Styles is preparing for the imminent end of his WWE career, it remains to be seen whether Saturday will actually be his last match. We know that Styles will be retiring at some point in 2026, and Paul Triple H Levesque has said earlier this week he's been in regular communication with Styles about the opponents he wants to face before hanging up his boots. Styles has spoken out about potentially remaining with WWE as a trainer after he's done with the ring, in the ring. And yeah, there was this other article here as well, which is the one that the previous article was referring to, that Triple H and AJ Styles have talked about which opponents he'd like to face before ending his career. While appearing on ESPN's Unsportsmanlike, Paul Levesque was asked if Saturday's bout against Gunther at the Royal Rumble could really be Styles' final match. Levesque kept kayfabe with his answer, as he should. He's like, yeah, it'll probably be his last. He's like, you know, yeah, I know I don't think much about the man's intelligence, but you know, he didn't go full stupid, right? Levesque kept kayfabe with his answer, but noted that he's had regular conversations with Styles about the goals he has for the remainder of his run. We're going to have to see, Levesque said. You know, AJ Styles has not made a secret. This year, 2026, is going to be his last in-ring year. But he has a lot of goals and a lot of people. I know he's with me every week making a list of people that he would want to face and that he wants to meet in the ring before he retires. But as Gunther was disrespecting John Cena about doing the one thing he said he would never do, which is quit or give up, Gunther made Cena do that in his final match. AJ Styles has taken offense to that. He put his career on the line against Gunther, saying that if he can't beat him, if he can't end this streak of Gunther, then he's done. I, for one, hope that doesn't happen. I hope AJ Styles continues because he's an incredible talent. But if it does, what an unbelievable run he's had. So on behalf of President Trump, are you ready? That last part is not in this interview. It's something else. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a perfectly kayfabe answer. And look, do you want to know why it's complete bullshit, though? You know what? Thank you very much, chat. You know why this is complete bullshit? He's with me every week, making a list of people that he would want to face and that he wants to meet in the ring before he retires. I know he's with me every week, making a list. Every week, he's making a list. Come on now. Come the fuck on now. You know, Paul Levesque every week carves out time for AJ Styles to make a list. And every time AJ Styles, he comes in with a new list? What the fuck does that even mean? He's making a list with me every week. Every week he starts the list over because Paul loses the napkin on which they're working the list. Or Paul deletes the email or the text. He's always like resetting his phone. Factory reset every time because he's downloading whatever, God knows what on his phone. Is that why? And he keeps losing the list. So AJ comes every week with the list. Come on. The Gunther story, that he's on this streak right now, that's the story they want to tell, not AJ Styles leaving the company. I am convinced that Paul Levesque has no interest in a send-off. I think he has no interest in giving him a proper retirement run like he did like with Cena, for instance. And do you know why I think that's the case? Because AJ Styles has filed for trademarks. I think that's why. I think it's been clear between Paul and Styles, that Levesque and Styles, that AJ is going to continue doing this in some form or another. He's going to continue being involved in wrestling. Now, it might be the trainer gig that AJ Styles himself has talked about. And I'm sure AJ Styles would really like the trainer gig. Look, I have seen AJ Styles over the past, I've seen him in clips and whatnot. I saw him at the TNA show a couple of weeks ago when we did the watch along. And I got to tell you guys and gals and non-binary pals, that man is dead behind the eyes. That guy is fed up. Now, the question is, we talked about it. Is he fed up, with wrestling, or is he fed up with WWE? Because it could be just like completely tired of his working environment. He's like, nah, it sucks here. I've done everything here. It's always the same thing. You're never going to use me, but whatever, it's like, nah, I'm done here. And he could just be dead behind the eyes because he's checked out. He's mentally checked out. Could be mentally checked out because he's done with wrestling. And this is an impression that he has been giving me. This is a vibe I've been getting from AJ Styles for a substantial while now, where you feel like his heart is not even into wrestling anymore. I don't know. I can't put a finger on it. I can't, but at the very least, I can tell that right now, AJ Styles is checked out. He's not into what he's doing right now. So my theory that, Paul Levesque hasn't been discussing, a final list of opponents and whatnot, is because AJ Styles truly is losing his match on Saturday. And whether he becomes a free agent after we'll have to see. I'm not convinced. I think if he is offered a spot to train at the PC, he's going to take it. I think he'd like that. I think that's something he said it himself. That's something he wants to do. But if they don't offer it to him, does he really hang his boots up? Or does he go to AEW? This is always the thing, right? Does he go to AEW? And I have maintained that I think he's done. Like, my instinct up until this point told me I think he's just done with wrestling. And yes, I think he's going to hang up his boots and say, sayonara, I'm done. But the fact that he registered trademarks for himself, that throws a little monkey wrench into my plans, where it's like, yeah, maybe he's ready to go investigate the other side of the fence and see what kind of opportunities he could have there, what kind of matches he could have there, who he could wrestle and whatnot and make a little more money. Or he could have just trademarked the stuff so that he could make his own merch and and start doing conventions and setting up tables and selling Phenomenal One, gloves and t-shirts at cons, which is possible too. That's 100% possible as well. But let's put on let's have a little fun here, okay? And I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not even saying this is what I want to see happen, okay? What I'm saying, let's say AJ Styles goes to AEW. Is there even an opportunity for him? Is there something there for him, right? For me, it still doesn't change. I'm not sure how excited I am about AJ Styles in AEW. Personally, would I see this as a big get for AEW? Yes. Would I see this as another WWE guy entering AEW? It's more like you're getting a global star. You're getting a well-traveled, renowned wrestling star who's worked everywhere. Yes, the last few years of his career, he has spent them. What just happened here? My browser crashed for no reason. My browser crashed for no apparent reason. Wait a second. The hell? All right. Great job. Great job, everyone. Wasn't even in use. The browser fucking crashes. What are we even doing here? All right, let's continue. So the guy's pushing 50. We all have great memories of AJ Styles, right? And I throw my hat in with people who are not guided by nostalgia when it comes to their love of professional wrestlers. I think there is a point where a wrestler can end up tarnishing his memories by going forward, by continuing to wrestle way past their prime. And we all have examples in our heads. And I think that ends up tarnishing the memory. Because if I want to remember the good times of a wrestler, I'm going to go back to their prime and I'm going to go back and watch, if I want to remember great AJ Styles, if I want to watch AJ Styles matches that will move me, that will make me happy in 2026, I'll go pull up the Samoa Joe Christopher Daniels match, where the three-way, right? I'm going to go pull up that match. That kind of stuff. I am going to pull up like that great match he had with Nakamura in New Japan. That's what I'm going to do. So, but it's hard for me to really pinpoint, to really think to myself and say, how much does this guy still have to offer? Because I don't know, because it's WWE and the house style is extremely restrictive. So what can an aging AJ Styles in 2026 do unchained, unfettered by the WWE house style? I'd be lying if I wasn't curious. But is it something that is animating me? No, I'm not pushing for this to happen, right? So if he comes into AEW, there will be a level of curiosity that will sustain me, but it's not something where I'm gonna jump up out of my seat and pump my fist for. It's just well, isn't this nice? Isn't this nice that AJ Styles will be able to say that in my career, I've wrestled in, some of the biggest promotions across the world, legitimately, right? And he was a cornerstone of TNA, that he wrestled at during the peak, the golden years of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the true platinum era, I guess. Had a great career in WWE and then ends it in AEW, let's say, with another series of great matches. I mean, it's a fun historical resume, and hopefully we can get some good matches out of it. But it's not something I'm necessarily pushing for. You know who I think is pushing for it? Will Ospreay. I think Will Ospreay is on the phone with Tony Khan regularly ever since the news of AJ Styles started circulating that he might be done. And he's calling Tony Khan and said, bruv, you got to hire AJ Styles, mate. That's a terrible. I'm practically embarrassed. Practically. Because AJ Styles is an inspiration for Ospreay. Will Ospreay is a guy who grew up watching TNA. He didn't grow up watching WWE. He grew up watching TNA. Will Ospreay would love to wrestle AJ Styles at this point of both of their careers one-on-one. Ospreay being who he is, AJ Styles being a bona fide superstar in professional wrestling. Dare we say legend. I'm sure that Will is he's telling Tony, don't pay me this year so that we can have enough money for AJ. And I'm not going to lie. I'd be into that match. I'd be into Kenny Omega. AJ Styles showing up on Dynamite and telling Kenny, hey, you know what? We've got an outstanding issue that we never settled. That'd be kind of fun. And I'd have a lot more confidence with these two guys, with Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega as dance partners for AJ Styles in 2026 to have a really great match. I don't want to start working myself into a shoot here. Don't get me wrong. We're just theorizing here. This is not necessarily something where I'm like, oh God, this is so cool if I want this to happen. I think it'll be cool if it happens. It's not like AJ Styles would be in AEW would be of complete disinterest to me. I don't think it's the most exciting thing ever, but I think there are interesting things you can do. But here's something that I'd really like to see. This is more on the business side, but if I'm Tony Khan and AJ Styles is knocking on my door, I turn to AJ and I tell him, listen, I will sign you for a year. And we are going to get these dream matches out. We're going to get them done. I'm going to pay you this fat stack of cash and I'm going to sign your hand. I'm going to sign your hand. I'm going to shake your hand at the end. I'm going to say thank you for your service here in AEW. Hopefully we scratched an itch. We all benefited. We all made money. That's what I do. Start thinking about short-term contracts instead of locking people like AJ down for years, for 2 years, for 3 years. Look at the diminishing returns with Adam Copeland, for instance. I think that you risk that with a guy like AJ Styles. The difference between Copeland and AJ Styles is that I mentioned 2 matches here that the fan base would legitimately be excited to see. That even, skeptics like myself would be looking forward to them. Be like, all right, then, okay. Like, this is a seller. This is a match I'd get into. Ospreay and AJ Styles, yes, I want to see that. That, my life will be able to move on if I never see it. But if you present it to me, I'll be like, yeah, okay. I'll buy a ticket. I'll buy a pay-per-view. You got me. Omega and Styles, that's the same thing. But after that, everyone else, I'm kind of like ambivalent. I don't really care. And I think that's what AJ Styles can contribute. He could come into AEW, do one really good year, and then hit the bricks. What's the danger? Why would you keep him longer? He's just going to throw off a bunch of pushes, a bunch of guys who are on the come up. He's just going to throw it off because you're going to want to give him some TV time. It's AJ Styles. What about the guys and gals that you're trying to work to promote, to raise to the next level, and you just hired a bunch of other people because, Chris Jericho's salary's been liberated? That's a joke, by the way. It's like all these people, he's going to take someone's spot, is what I'm trying to say. Someone who was on the come up. He's not going to take Hangman's spot. He's not going to take Swerve's spot. He's not going to take MJF's spot. But he might take, a Kevin Knight spot. He might take a Mark Briscoe spot. He might take a Speedball spot. He might take a Daniel Garcia spot. Like, not specifically in that spot on the roster. He'll take up the time on TV that otherwise would make go to those other people. That's what I mean when I mean spot. Not, of course, AJ Styles is not going to work the lower mid card. That's not what I'm saying. So sign him for a year. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? Goes back to WWE. You're Tony Khan. You're not exactly building AJ Styles as a superstar that WWE might steal from you. He's worked for WWE for years. Every professional wrestling fan fucking knows who AJ Styles is, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where he goes at this stage of his career. It has no intrinsic impact. It has no tangible impact. If AJ Styles comes into the company and he's hot because he's just left the other company, it's like, it doesn't matter. And WWE, they're done. So, if you sign him for a year passes, is he going to go back to WWE immediately? Are they going to gobble him back up? Probably not. It's not. And even if they do, it's not that big a deal because it's AJ Styles. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So sign him for a year. Do the Ospreay match, do the Omega match, and then shake his hand. Thank you so much, Mr. Styles. And then send him home. That's all. I don't know. If this were to happen, that's what I'd do. I'd sign him for a year. Book him as an attraction for a year. And make it known. He can come and cut his first promo in AEW and said, friends, I'm here for 365 days and then I'm gone. So I'm going to make the most out of the time I have here. That's really cool. That's awesome, actually. You have an end date for AJ Styles in AEW and you're like, okay, let's try and extract the maximum that we can here. And of course, everyone's going to want the Ospreay match. Everyone's going to want the Omega match, and that's really all you need. That's all you need out of AJ Styles in 2026. You're not going to build your promotion around him. He's not going to be a top guy for your promotion. Not anymore. So that's why if at the end of the year he goes back to WWE, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No one looks good or bad. It's just who cares? I don't think it's going to happen because I think Tony is would be afraid to just sign him for a year. Maybe AJ would just refuse to be signed for a year, which is also possible as well. That's what I do. That would be the perfect way of using him. This is where we're at right now, right, folks? This is where we're at. We don't know what's going to happen. Although all signs point to AJ Styles, all signs point to AJ Styles losing the match on Saturday, unless there's some goofy finish, where it's a non-finish, double disqualification, or look, it's WWE, right? So anything can happen. But I feel like if you're building Gunther to be this invincible, invincible guy who's just going to be retiring everyone, that's going to be his gimmick, right? Like a brand new legend killer. If that's his thing and he's going to be on a streak, well, it's not AJ Styles that's going to end it, right? Because you kind of want to keep building Gunther until he's this massive invincible monster and then takes the title away from Cody Rhodes. And then we get a heel champion for, 1,000 days or whatever. Because heat. Because heat. I think AJ loses the match and whatever his next step is going to be. Look, me personally, I think the training option is the most plausible. But maybe, like I said, the dead behind the eyes situation or feeling that I have is entirely due to the fact of him just being fed up with WWE and going to somewhere else just reinvigorates his joy. That's all. We'll see. We'll see soon enough. Might look like a complete idiot after Saturday. Wouldn't be the first time, especially after Saturday night. Hey, yo. If you are a wrestler on the verge of retirement, the last thing you want to do is discuss it with Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Pretty much. Think of all the AEW fans on Blue Sky who will talk themselves into wanting AJ despite his beliefs. Oh, they already want him. They already want Uncle Allen in the company. in the progressive haven that is AEW. They already want him. But you see, like Convoy, here's the thing. There's one thing that I've realized recently is that there's really a lot of turnaround of new fans. There's really, really a lot of new fans who just don't know the lore of a lot of stuff that you and I know because we've been around for a lot of it, if not most of it. A lot of internet related things too. People just don't know stuff. You know, people not knowing who Abby Arthur is. I know that, you know, it's not specifically wrestling related, but, you know, 5 years ago, everyone fucking knew who Abby Arthur was. That's, you know, now we've got, who's Abby Arthur? Oh, Jesus Christ. There are people who don't know who Abby Arthur is. So, you know, if they don't know that he's, you know, a conservative flat earther, I don't know what, you know, they'll find out soon enough and then their world will come tumbling down. But then again, here's another thing. Look at the Hangman Adam Page picture with Marty Scurll. No one's talking about that anymore. And a lot of people forgave the Hangman, or they pretended that he couldn't have done that it wasn't really him. That story's done. Why? It's the Hangman. Convoy says, I wrote like 300 words this morning about why I thought Ciampa was a bad idea. I'd write a lot more if AJ comes in bad idea, in my opinion. I mean, I think there's more downside than upside, for sure. That's a good Paul voice, but it's driving me mad. My Paul Levesque voice could be better. Frankly, I'm secretly working on it. If you're, okay, please, we read that. Triple H, the king of wrestling retirement tour kings. I don't know if he's the king or if he's the jack, if he's the jester. Adam Copeland's last few months in WWE before jumping to AEW was, I'm going to retire in a few months. This is true. If he's going to train, I feel like AEW should up their cash and try to get him to train for them. Could do a lot worse. I hope he goes to AEW with a pit stop to TNA right before. He already did his pit stop to TNA. And it's not to wrestle. He's not going to wrestle in TNA. Why would he? Why would he? He was on that disaster of a first episode. Why would he ever go back? I don't think any fan is dumb for thinking AJ Styles is going to AEW, but it wouldn't shock me. Sure. I think I'm on the same wavelength as you. Warren browser crash. Time to switch new operating system. Yeah, we're going to have to upgrade to Windows Vista here. Hey, Will Davis, nice to see you, man. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. It is great to see you. I know for a fact that TK had a bunch of rings stored with the Jags transportation business and was planning on doing that in the first years of AEW. I think they've learned the pipeline model doesn't work for them, and they want people to work their way through the indies and learn in front of various crowds, get weeded out, etc., before they hire them. Yeah, well, we talked about this with when the WWE ID system came out, that I perceived as WWE's little way of trying to control the talent pipeline, even all the way down in the indies, because I think they did figure that out. AJ Styles managed to have a super successful WWE run no matter who was in charge. Well, Vince liked them. Vince liked them a lot. He really, really liked them a lot. Put him in programs with John Cena, let him beat John Cena. Vince liked them. So that helped out a lot. If there's the off chance he could go to AEW, he will be under a microscope to see if he can still go. Oh, Jesus. Well, quite frankly, I will be one of those microscope holders. I mean, if Ospreay wants that AJ match, and he does, he 100% does. Where I've come to the conclusion that your Triple H impersonation is way better than the SX Ospreay impersonation. The bar's not very high with the Ospreay impersonation. So yeah, but I'll take the compliment nonetheless. Thank you. Ospreay got Ricochet. He's getting AJ. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. TK will book a big building in Gainesville, Georgia for AJ's retirement. I don't even think he needs to do that. I mean, just book a big building in Gainesville, Georgia, or anywhere close. What's a big metropolitan area close to Gainesville, Georgia? That's all he needs to do. If he brings the Good Brothers, we're all set. All right, I'm about to ban you, Will. That's the kind of slander I can't. That's the kind of slander I can't stand for. In this chat, on this stream, we're too pure here. More short-term, well-crafted arcs, please. Yes! Yes! If everyone had close end dates, that's your motivation as a booker. Like, we have this guy or gal until this date. We got to do something. I think AJ Styles should sign a dual contract with WWE TNA. Peacefully retire and get inducted into the Observer Hall of Fame. Gunter is not the legend killer. He's the career killer. Okay, excuse me. Jesus Christ. My God. Being a trainer producer doesn't pay the big money. No, but a guy like AJ Styles has been really super smart with his money. I am 100% convinced. This is not a guy who blew his money on hookers and blow. He has made really smart moves with his money. He's probably got a bunch of little investments and a whole bunch of little things. And if he continues, if he goes to train and whatnot, it's not for the big money. He's made his big money and he's stockpiled it. He saved it. His family is comfortable. Like, doesn't he still live in Gainesville? I think he still lives like in a rural home somewhere. Like, he didn't splurge on some, Los Angeles, fucking mansion somewhere. He didn't do any of that, or a New York loft. He didn't do that. Like, as far as I understand, he's set up like he's got like a farmhouse or something, big land. I mean, he didn't buy it, he didn't buy it for millions of dollars, is my point. He's been smart. This guy's been really, really smart with his money. So we'll see how it all turns out with AJ Styles. Be coming up soon. I'm convinced he's losing Saturday. It would be atrocious booking towards Gunter if they didn't do that. It would be horrible booking, folks. It'd be really, really bad. It would be really, really bad. Hopefully, this stream was not really, really bad. I dare say I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Who got feasted or fired tonight? I don't know. Do we have any results anywhere? I'm going to go check real quick. Okay, live results. Rich Swann versus AJ Francis. Oh, I think we're up to the Feast or Fired results, but that's where because there's nothing else on the live results on the Observer website. Like it's, we have all of the results, up to Elena Black versus Ruthie J. Jesus Christ. And then Blackpin J 241, and then Feast or Fired results. And now there's nothing. That's where we're at right now. So I don't, I'm not necessarily going to hold my breath here. Hopefully they hang on to Trey Miguel. Anyway. All right. So that's the stream. That's the evening that we just spent together, lads and lassies. Thank you again very much for popping in tonight. If you haven't joined the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord, you should. Link is in the description. If you are not following me on Blue Sky, you should. MrWarrenHayes.show. If you haven't listened to the AEW Dynamite review, you should. It's a good review. I'm very happy with it. There's reviews you do where you're like, hot damn, this is good. Last week, I thought it was an excellent review. This week, I thought it was excellent as well. I'm on the same hot streak. So be sure to check all of those out, and I'll be back Monday with the live stream. Macklin is fired. Well, there you go. No big shock there. I think that's the outcome everyone was kind of expecting. Eric Young for the X Division title, Edwards for the world title. Yes, we knew about Eddie Edwards because the audio leaked last week. And Trey for the international. So Macklin hired elsewhere. I don't know, but Macklin I think he saw this and look, I think this is another guy who's smart and was like, that he saw the writing on the wall with this WWE partnership nonsense and is like, there's no future for me here. I've given this place everything and they don't want me anymore. Trey versus Ricochet. Something tells me that's not happening anytime soon. So there you go. So there you go. That all wraps it up for tonight. That all wraps it up for another edition of the big stream, for the big Thursday stream. Hope everyone has a great rest of their week. I hope you have an even better weekend on top of that. If any of you are watching the Royal Rumble, shame on you. No. Do whatever you want. Look, you probably all know where I fall on this stuff with WWE and Saudi Arabia and all that. I'm not going to be preachy. But, you probably all know by now how I feel about it. Why I don't watch it. That's all there is to it. So I'm not watching. If it's up to you, well, up to you to make your own decisions. Y'all are adults, as far as I know. Hopefully. Because otherwise, I've said some pretty scandalous shit. For a child. You should not be listening to me if you are a child. Anyway, enjoy the weekend. CMLL has a show this weekend too. Well, they always do. They have a bunch of shows. Talking about the Friday show. What is on the Friday show this week? Is this the... Let me see here. I'm going to pull up the old Lucha blog. CMLL Preview Arena Mexico. We've got Mascara Dorada, Mystico, and Neon. So we got the Sky Team against Difunto, Ultimo Guerrero, and Volador Jr. That's going to rock. That's a tremendous main event. It's going to be fun. Claudio Castagnoli versus Jelwa. That's going to rule. Jelwa getting more Arena Mexico time. Claudio's winning. But this should be a lot of fun. Barbara Cavanario versus Flip Gordon. They set that up last week on the Friday show. So that should be pretty good. That I'm excited to see as well. Angel de Oro, Niebla Roja, and Soberano Jr. My man. Oh my God, versus Johnny TV, Mansoor, and Mason Madden. Yuck. Oh, I was so excited. And then I'm like, wait, what? MXM Collection and Johnny TV? Fuck this shit. Yuck. La Jarochita, Skadi, and Tabata versus Persephone, Sanelli, excuse me, and Zuxis for the women's division. El Cobarde Felino Jr. and Hijo de Stuca Jr. versus Akuma, Gamelo, and the Gamelo Diablos 1 and 2. And Espiritu Negro and Rey Cometa versus El Coyote and Polvora. That should be a really fun curtain jerker. That should be really fun. Yuck? What do you mean yuck? Getting Johnny TV in Arena Mexico? Yuck. And then especially against the Chavez brothers and Soberano Jr. And we're going to get all this fucking nonsense and goofiness with the MXM collection and all that. I don't want it. Look, keep it out of CMLL. Keep it. I don't want this shit. And the thing is that the audience is probably really going to dig the MXM collection gimmick, and they're probably going to get over because of it. I have no interest. I have no interest. Thank you, Silver Apocalypse, for the kind words. Have a great evening. ESPN app doesn't work at Dave and Buster, so I won't happen to catch glimpses of it at work on Saturday. Good for you. You don't need that. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up, folks. Done through everything. Look, at the very least, CMLL has a better show. CMLL just has a better show. Don't waste your time with Royal Rumble. They're not fun anymore. The Rumbles aren't fun anymore. Chris Jericho's going to debut. They're going to have Obafemi. They're going to have Obafemi. Who was saying this in the Discord? They're going to have Obafemi in the Keith Lee spot against Brock. Remember when Keith Lee showed up at the Royal Rumble and Brock was there? Oh, that's a big boy. They're going to do that with Obafemi and Brock. They're going to do that again. Chris Jericho is going to show up. I think I said that. And Saraya Page is going to show up. Was it you, Antox? So I give full credit to Antox then. And yeah, Paige is going to return. She's going to be all dressed up in a lovely bodysuit too. And I don't know. I don't care. It's like, it's really hard. I don't care. So there you go. I don't care. Have a great evening, folks. Have a great weekend. Thank you again for showing up. I appreciate it so much. I can't tell you guys and gals and non-binary pals how exciting it is to always have you hanging around, all the new faces, the old standards, the crew. Appreciate it tremendously. It's more like this one here. There you go. We'll see you next time.